The last frequency. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the towering wall of holographic displays at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station, her dark eyes reflecting cascading waves of electromagnetic data. Something about the pattern she'd been tracking for the past 72 hours defied conventional analysis. It wasn't random background radiation, nor was it the typical chatter of merchant vessels or diplomatic channels. This signal pulsed with purpose, like a heartbeat in the void. Dr. Chen, you need to see this. Marcus Wong, her lead signal analyst, gestured to his workstation, where a three-dimensional representation of the signal's frequency pattern rotated slowly. The algorithms just finished their final pass. This isn't just coherent. It's alive. Sarah moved closer, her steps deliberate in the station's low gravity. The signal's structure revealed itself in layers, intricate patterns within patterns, each resonating at frequencies that shouldn't have been possible through normal space. "It's beautiful," she whispered, reaching out to touch the hologram. Her fingers passed through the light, disturbing the image like ripples in a pond. "Beautiful and impossible," Marcus added, pulling up comparison data. No known transmission technology can maintain coherence at these frequencies across interstellar distances. Whatever's generating this signal, it's operating on principles we've never seen before. The monitoring station's vast chamber hummed with the sound of cooling systems and quantum processors. Earth had built this facility to serve as humanity's ears to the cosmos, but in the 30 years since first contact, they'd never encountered anything quite like this. Sarah initiated a deeper scan, and the holographic display expanded, filling the chamber with streams of data. The signal's structure began to shift, responding to their probing in ways that defied explanation. It wasn't just a transmission. It was trying to communicate. "Alert the director," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the excitement building in her chest. "And get me a direct link to the Xenolinguistics division. We're going to need." The signal suddenly intensified, and the holographic displays flared with brilliant light. In the center of the chamber, patterns of energy coalesced into a form that reminded Sarah of the aurora borealis, sheets of luminescence that twisted and flowed like liquid starlight. "We are the resonance." The words formed directly in their minds, accompanied by harmonics that made Sarah's entire body vibrate in sympathy. "We seek help from those who still remember how to listen." Marcus stumbled backward, but Sarah held her ground. First contact protocols had never covered anything like this, but something in the entity's tone spoke of desperate need. "I am Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station. We're receiving you." The luminescent form pulsed with what Sarah somehow knew was relief. "Others have heard our call, Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth. The great civilizations of your galaxy have received our pleas. They came in their mighty vessels, studied our nature, and departed. We were deemed too primitive to warrant salvation." "Primitive," Marcus whispered, gesturing at the impossible display of energy manipulation before them. "How could anyone consider this primitive?" The resonance form rippled. "We are energy given consciousness, thought made manifest through quantum resonance. We chose this path eons ago, eschewing physical form to explore the deeper harmonies of existence. The dominant species of this galaxy measure civilization by ships of metal and weapons of light. They found us lacking." Sarah's mind raced with implications. The entity's presence alone demonstrated mastery over fundamental forces that human science had barely begun to understand. "What kind of help do you need?" "We are dying." The words carried a weight that made the air itself seem heavy. "The cosmic filament that has sustained our civilization for millions of years is becoming unstable. Soon it will collapse, and with it, our entire species will fade into discord. We number in the millions, each consciousness a unique symphony of thought and energy." Directors and officials had begun to gather at the chamber's entrance, drawn by reports of the unprecedented contact. Sarah barely noticed them. "How long do you have?" "By your measurements, 3 months before the collapse becomes irreversible. We have tried to transfer ourselves to other energy matrices, but the scale of such an endeavor..." The being's form flickered with what Sarah interpreted as despair. A thought struck her. The electromagnetic shielding technology we developed for our quantum processors. Marcus, could we modify it to contain and transport energy-based life forms? Marcus was already running calculations on his terminal. The principles are similar. With enough power and the right modifications, we might be able to create stable containment fields. But the scale would be enormous. We'd need dozens of ships equipped with experimental technology. The resonant pulsed with renewed intensity. Your shielding methods, yes, we can see their potential. They operate on principles compatible with our nature. But the other species, the council that governs your sector of space, they have prohibited assistance to pre-technological civilizations. Sarah straightened, feeling the weight of the moment. Throughout human history, there had been times when those with power had ignored the suffering of those they deemed beneath them. Since joining the Galactic community, humanity had sworn never to repeat those mistakes. "Let me worry about the council," she said, her voice carrying the quiet determination that had defined her career. "We'll need to work quickly, and we'll need to understand exactly how your energy patterns function. Are you willing to share that knowledge with us?" The resonance form brightened perceptibly. "You would help us, knowing it may bring censure from more powerful civilizations." Sarah smiled, thinking of humanity's long journey to the stars. In our history, the most meaningful progress often came from those who were willing to help others when everyone else turned away. We're not going to ignore millions of living beings just because they exist in a different form than we do. As she spoke, alerts began flooding in from other monitoring stations across Earth's space. The signal was being detected everywhere now, and with it, humanity's chance to prove that true civilization wasn't measured by the age of one's species or the form of one's existence, but by the capacity to reach across the gulf of difference and offer help to those in need. The chamber filled with the soft harmonics of the resonance response, a melody that seemed to carry both gratitude and hope. Sarah turned to the gathered officials, her expression resolute. "We're going to need every available ship and engineer. And someone get me a direct line to the council. They need to understand that humanity has made its choice." Above them, the holographic displays continued their dance of light and data, marking the beginning of a collaboration that would challenge the galaxy's understanding of what it truly meant to be an advanced civilization. The Council's condemnation. Commander James Martinez stood at the viewport of the Earth diplomatic vessel Artemis, watching the crystalline spires of the Galactic Council station rotate against the backdrop of swirling nebula gases. The station's design was meant to intimidate, he knew, a physical manifestation of the Council's power and authority. Today that authority would be tested. Inside his uniform pocket, a quantum storage device hummed softly, containing data that Dr. Chen's team had compiled about the resonance. The deeper they delved into the energy being's nature, the more extraordinary their findings had become. The resonance weren't just conscious energy. They were living libraries of cosmic knowledge, their very existence intertwined with the fundamental forces of the universe. "Commander, the Council is ready to receive us." Admiral Gloria Thompson's voice carried the weight of her 40 years in Earth's Space Force. She'd fought to be here, to personally represent humanity's interests in what would likely be a contentious session. The Council chamber itself was a marvel of alien architecture, its vast dome showing real-time displays of every major galaxy in the local group. Representatives from 200 species filled the tiered seating, their forms ranging from crystalline constructs to biomechanical hybrids. At the center, the High Council, the 12 most powerful species, occupied elevated platforms. First speaker Zilara, a being of liquid metal and neural networks, rose to address the chamber. "The human delegation comes before us to defend their violation of Council Directive 7249, non-interference with pre-technological species. They have not only contacted the energy anomalies in Sector 47, but are actively preparing a rescue mission." Martinez stepped forward, his voice clear and unwavering. "With respect, first speaker, Your classification of the resonance as pre-technological demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of their nature. He activated the quantum device, and the chamber filled with a holographic display of resonant energy patterns. These beings have mastered manipulation of quantum fields at a level that surpasses our current understanding. They chose their energy-based existence deliberately, pursuing a different path of evolution than physical form. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. A representative of the silicon consciousness, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns, spoke next. Their mastery means nothing without practical application. They cannot build ships. They cannot defend territory. They cannot contribute to the greater galactic community. Admiral Thompson's laugh was sharp and clear. Cannot contribute. The resonants have spent millions of years studying the very forces that hold our universe together. Their understanding of cosmic filaments and energy matrices could revolutionize everything from space travel to power generation. But that's not why we're helping them. Then enlighten us. Zalara's liquid metal form rippled with what might have been sarcasm. Why would humanity risk sanctions and isolation to save beings that chose to remain in such a limited state? Martinez walked to the center of the chamber, where the holographic display now showed the intricate dance of resonant consciousness. Because diversity is strength. Every species here evolved different solutions to the challenge of existence. Some built bodies of metal, others merged with machines. The resonants chose to explore consciousness itself, to understand reality at its most fundamental level. Their perspective is unique and irreplaceable. Pretty words, another council member interjected, but the resources required for this rescue attempt would drain Earth's economy for years. What do your human taxpayers think of this expensive charity? Admiral Thompson stepped forward, her expression fierce. When we announced the situation, we were overwhelmed with volunteers, scientists, engineers, ship crews. Private companies are donating resources. Other nations are offering ships. Humanity remembers its own history, times when those in power dismissed entire cultures as primitive or unworthy of aid. We swore we would never become that kind of civilization. The chamber erupted in debate, but a new presence silenced them all. A resonant consciousness manifested in the center of the room, its energy patterns more complex and beautiful than any the council had witnessed before. This was First Harmony, the eldest of the resonant consciousness. Honored Council, First Harmony's thoughts resonated through the chamber. You speak of contribution and worth as if they were simple equations. Our civilization has spent eons contemplating the deeper harmonies of existence. We have watched galaxies dance, studied the songs of black holes, and learned to exist in harmony with the fundamental forces of reality. We chose not to build with metal and energy because we found a different path to advancement. The being's form expanded, filling the chamber with patterns of indescribable beauty. These humans, whom you consider young and unwise, saw beyond form to recognize consciousness itself. They understood that civilization can advance in ways that leave no physical monuments, that progress cannot always be measured in ships and weapons. Martinez felt a swell of pride as First Harmony continued. We offered to share all our knowledge with the first species that would aid us. The great powers of the galaxy saw us and turned away. Humanity saw us and offered help before we could even make our offer. That is the true measure of advancement, the wisdom to recognize worth beyond immediate utility. The chamber had fallen completely silent. Martinez could see the impact of First Harmony's words on the assembled representatives. Some seemed thoughtful, others uncomfortable, a few openly hostile. But it was Zalara who spoke next, their liquid metal form shifting in what might have been agitation. The Council cannot stop Earth from proceeding with this rescue attempt. But know that you will bear full responsibility for any consequences. If your containment fields fail, if the energy transfer destabilizes, if anything goes wrong, the blame will fall solely on humanity. Admiral Thompson's smile was razor-sharp. We accept those terms, First Speaker. Humanity has never shied away from doing what's right just because it was difficult or dangerous. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a rescue mission to launch." As they left the council chamber, Martinez could feel the weight of 200 species' eyes on their backs. They had just challenged the fundamental power structure of galactic civilization, not with weapons or threats, but with the simple assertion that compassion and understanding were marks of true advancement. "They're scared," Thompson said quietly as they walked back to their ship. "Not of the resonance, but of what this means. We just proved that their entire hierarchy of civilization might be built on flawed assumptions." Martinez nodded, thinking of the massive rescue fleet being assembled back in Earth's space. Maybe it's time for those assumptions to be challenged. The galaxy's big enough for many kinds of civilization, many paths of advancement. We just need to be brave enough to recognize them. Behind them, the council station continued its eternal rotation, but something had changed. In standing up for the resonance, humanity had done more than save an ancient species. They had started a conversation about the true nature of progress that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. Operation Lighthouse. The fleet of Earth vessels hung in formation at the edge of the resonance home system, their modified electromagnetic shields creating a subtle blue shimmer around each ship. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the flagship beacon, watching as the final diagnostic readings scrolled across her holographic display. Every ship in the fleet had been retrofitted with experimental containment technology in record time, a testament to humanity's determination. "Final shield harmonics are aligned," Marcus reported from his station, his fingers dancing across the control interface. "The resonance have confirmed compatibility with their energy patterns. We're as ready as we'll ever be." The system ahead of them was a graveyard of stars. The massive cosmic filament that had sustained the resonance was visibly degrading, its once brilliant energy streams now flickering like a dying flame. Sensors showed growing instabilities in the quantum fabric of space itself. "All ships, report status." Commander Martinez's voice carried across the command channel. One by one, the 20 vessels of the rescue fleet confirmed their readiness. Each ship had been chosen for its power generation capacity and structural integrity. They would need every ounce of both. A familiar shimmer of energy appeared on the bridge as First Harmony manifested beside Sarah. The resonance patterns were noticeably dimmer than during their first meeting. "The containment theory is sound," First Harmony communicated, "but the practical application will be challenging. We have never attempted to transfer so many consciousnesses simultaneously." Sarah nodded, studying the latest sensor data. "We'll need to establish a resonance cascade, each ship taking on resonance in sequence, like a bucket brigade. The shields should be able to handle the load if we time it right." The rescue plan was audacious in its simplicity. Use modified electromagnetic shields to create stable containment fields for the resonant consciousness, then transport them to a new cosmic filament discovered in a neighboring sector. The complexity lay in the scale, moving millions of energy beings across interstellar distances while maintaining their intricate quantum patterns. "First wave, move into position," Martinez ordered. The first 5 ships, including the beacon, began their careful approach toward the dying filament. Sarah could feel the ship's systems straining as they pushed deeper into the disturbed space. "Energy patterns are becoming erratic," Marcus warned. "The filament's degradation is accelerating. We need to work fast." First Harmony's form pulsed with urgency. "I will coordinate with my people. We must maintain perfect synchronization during the transfer." The resonant disappeared, leaving behind a lingering harmonic that made the air tingle. Sarah activated the ship-wide channel. "All stations, prepare for first phase transfer. Remember your training. Think of the shields as a symphony. We're not just containing energy, we're preserving the music of consciousness itself." The first group of resonants approached the fleet, their combined energy signature lighting up the void like an aurora. Sarah held her breath as the beings made contact with the beacon's shields. The containment field flared brilliant blue, then stabilized, harmonizing with the resonant's natural frequency. "Transfer at 10%, Marcus called out. "Shield stability holding. energy patterns maintaining coherence. Around them, the other ships reported similar successes as they began taking on their precious cargo. But physics rarely cooperates with even the best laid plans. As they reached 30% capacity, a quantum surge from the dying filament washed over the fleet. Warning alarms blared across every ship. Shield harmonics are destabilizing. An engineer shouted, "The surge is disrupting our containment fields." Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't lose the pattern coherence. Each resonant consciousness was unique, irreplaceable. Reroute power from non-essential systems. Marcus, help me adjust the field frequency. First harmony reappeared, its form now split between multiple ships. Wait, we can help. The containment fields, they're not so different from how we naturally maintain our consciousness. If we synchronize our energy patterns with your shield harmonics, understanding dawned on Sarah's face. You can reinforce the fields from the inside. Marcus dropped the shields to 70% and let the resonance handle pattern maintenance. It was a risk, but they were running out of options. As the shields powered down, the resonance began to glow brighter, their consciousness patterns interweaving with the electromagnetic fields. The warning alarms fell silent. Incredible, Marcus breathed, watching the sensor readings. They're not just stabilizing the fields, they're improving them. Efficiency up by 40% across all containment systems. Commander Martinez's voice crackled over the comm. Whatever you just did, Doctor, keep doing it. All ships, adjust shield protocols to match beacon's configuration. Let's move, people. The rescue operation took on a new rhythm. Ship after ship approached the filament, their shields now working in perfect harmony with the resonance natural abilities. What had started as a desperate rescue attempt had become a dance of technology and consciousness, each supporting the other. Hours passed as the fleet worked tirelessly. Sarah lost count of the number of transfers, focusing only on maintaining the delicate balance between human technology and resonant energy. The dying filament continued to deteriorate around them, but they pressed on. Finally, Marcus looked up from his station, his expression a mix of exhaustion and joy. Last group transferred. Total consciousness count matches original survey. We did it. We got them all. A cheer went up across the bridge, quickly echoed throughout the fleet. Sarah slumped in her chair, emotionally and physically drained. First harmony appeared one last time, its pattern now stable within the containment field. Your people have done something unprecedented, the resonant communicated, not just in saving us, but in proving that true advancement comes from cooperation, from finding ways to bridge the gaps between different forms of existence. Sarah smiled, watching as the fleet began its careful alignment for the jump to the new filament location. Maybe that's what civilization is really about. Not how advanced your technology is or what form you take, but how willing you are to reach across those differences and help others. As if in response to her words, the dying filament behind them gave one final surge before collapsing completely. But its light wasn't lost. It lived on in the consciousness of millions of resonants, preserved by human determination, and the simple truth that compassion knows no physical form. The rescue fleet accelerated away from the remnants of the old filament, carrying within their modified shields not just the resonant species, but proof that the greatest achievements often come from seeing past surface differences to recognize the value of all conscious life. The storm between stars. The rescue fleet moved through interstellar space like a constellation of artificial stars, their modified shields glowing with the combined light of technology and consciousness. Admiral Thompson stood at the tactical display aboard the flagship beacon, studying the sensor readings with growing concern. Something was wrong with the local space, subtle distortions that shouldn't have been there. Multiple vessels dropping out of FTL, the sensor officer announced, his voice tense. Signatures mesh Kronaki warships. They're moving to block our path to the new filament. Sarah Chen looked up from her station, where she'd been monitoring the resonance containment fields. The Kronaki. They were one of the most vocal opponents at the council meeting. And now they've decided to move beyond words, Thompson replied grimly. Tactical analysis suggests 12 heavy cruisers, all armed with quantum disruption weapons. She activated the fleet-wide channel. All vessels, battle stations, form defensive pattern Delta. Priority 1 is protecting our passengers. The Kroniki ships spread out in a classic encirclement pattern, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. A transmission cut through the tension. This is War Master Xen of the Kroniki Enforcement Fleet. Your violation of natural order cannot be permitted. Surrender your cargo for proper disposal or face elimination. Lesser beings must not be allowed to corrupt the galaxy's development. First Harmony manifested on the bridge, its energy patterns rippling with what Sarah had learned to recognize as anger. They still see us as cargo, as things to be disposed of. After all these millennia, they cannot comprehend consciousness different from their own. Thompson's response to the Kroniki was cold and precise. This is Admiral Thompson of Earth Fleet. We are transporting sovereign beings to their new home. Any attempt to interfere will be considered an act of war against both humanity and the resonant species. The Kroniki ships began charging their primary weapons. Sarah's mind raced. Their fleet was outgunned, and the containment fields carrying the resonance made their ships slower and more vulnerable. But perhaps that wasn't the disadvantage it seemed. First Harmony, she called out. You said your people could manipulate quantum fields naturally. Could you extend that ability through our shields? The resonance form brightened with understanding. Yes, yes, our containment fields are already integrated with your shield systems. With proper synchronization, we could create quantum interference patterns capable of disrupting their targeting systems. Do it, Thompson ordered. All ships prepare for combat. Engineering, route additional power to the shields. Let's show them what cooperation between species really means. The Kroniki struck first, quantum beams lancing out toward the human fleet. But as the attacks approached, the containment fields began to pulse with new patterns. The resonance energy merged with the shields, creating cascading waves of quantum interference. The enemy weapons dispersed harmlessly against the altered space around the human ships. Incredible, Marcus breathed, watching the sensor readings. The resonance aren't just blocking their attacks, they're actively destabilizing the coherence of their weapon systems. The more they fire, the less effective their weapons become. But the Kroniki weren't finished. Their ships began launching salvos of conventional missiles, trying to overwhelm the defenders with sheer firepower. Thompson's tactical experience showed in her immediate response. All ships, execute scatter pattern Omega. Use the resonance quantum interference to cover your movements. Strike groups 1 and 2, prepare for counterattack. The human fleet broke formation with practiced precision, their ships moving in unpredictable patterns as the resonance energy effects made them appear to be in multiple places at once. The Kroniki missiles found themselves chasing phantom targets, detonating harmlessly in empty space. Commander Martinez's voice crackled over the command channel. Admiral, the resonance are suggesting something unconventional. They believe they can temporarily extend their consciousness through our weapon systems, using them as conduits for focused quantum disruption. Thompson's eyes narrowed. They want to fight back directly, even after centuries of pacifism. Not to destroy. First Harmony clarified, its form pulsing with determination. To demonstrate, to show that advancement comes in many forms, and that wisdom lies in knowing when to stop fighting. The Admiral nodded. Do it. All ships, prepare to synchronize weapons systems with resonant energy patterns on my mark. What followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The human fleet's energy weapons began firing beams of impossible complexity, each shot carrying within it the focused consciousness of thousands of resonants. Where these beams struck Kroniki ships, they didn't cause destruction. Instead, they created localized fields of quantum uncertainty, temporarily disrupting the crystalline being's own consciousness patterns. Their ships are falling into disarray, the tactical officer reported. The resonance energy effect is making it impossible for them to maintain coherent thought patterns. They can't coordinate their actions. One by one, the Kronaki vessels began powering down their weapons, their crews experiencing firsthand what it meant to have their very consciousness altered by beings they had dismissed as primitive. The War Master's voice, when it came again, was notably less certain. What? What are you doing to us? Teaching you empathy. First Harmony responded, broadcasting on all frequencies, showing you how it feels to have your way of existing disrupted by those who don't understand it. We could have chosen to destroy you, to respond to violence with violence. Instead, we show you what true advancement means, the wisdom to understand other forms of life, and the restraint to seek harmony over dominance. The effect lasted only minutes, but its impact was profound. As the Kronaki crews regained their normal consciousness patterns, their ships began to retreat, leaving the path to the new filament clear. Sarah watched them go, realizing that they had won more than just a battle. They'll never be able to dismiss energy-based consciousness as primitive again, she said, not after experiencing its power firsthand. Thompson nodded, already ordering the fleet back into transport formation. Sometimes the most effective demonstration of superiority is showing mercy. The Kronaki came expecting to find primitive beings needing disposal. Instead, they found two species working together in ways they never imagined possible. As the rescue fleet resumed its journey, First Harmony's form sparkled with what might have been amusement. Perhaps now they will understand. True civilization is not measured by the weapons one builds, but by the wisdom to know when not to use them. The stars stretched out before them, promising safe passage to the new filament. They had faced the galaxy's prejudices and emerged victorious, not through superior firepower, but through the combined strength of human determination and resonant wisdom. It was a lesson the galaxy wouldn't soon forget. A new frequency. The new cosmic filament pulsed with life, its quantum streams shimmering with patterns of consciousness as millions of resonants settled into their new home. From the observation deck of the recently constructed Unity station, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the transfer's final stages. After 3 months of careful work, the rescue mission was finally complete. The station itself was a testament to the unprecedented collaboration between humans and resonants, a structure designed to exist at the boundary between physical and energy states. Its quantum-enhanced chambers allowed both species to interact comfortably, marking the beginning of a new era in interspecies cooperation. The integration rates are exceeding all projections, Marcus reported, his displays showing the smooth flow of energy patterns through the filament. The resonants aren't just surviving in the new environment, they're thriving. Their consciousness patterns are showing increased complexity and instability. First Harmony manifested beside them, its form more brilliant than ever in the energized environment. Our people are doing more than surviving, Dr. Chen. We are evolving. The challenge of adaptation, combined with the insights gained from human cooperation, has opened new pathways of consciousness we never imagined possible. Sarah smiled, remembering those tense first days of the rescue, and the human scientists working with you report breakthroughs in quantum mechanics that are revolutionizing our understanding of consciousness itself. It seems we've all evolved through this experience. The station's main conference chamber had been specially designed for the historic meeting taking place within it. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered to witness something unprecedented: the formal recognition of the resonants as a full member species of the Galactic Council, with humanity standing as their sponsors. First Speaker Zilora's liquid metal form rippled with barely contained amazement as they addressed the assembly. The events of recent months have forced us to confront our own prejudices about the nature of civilization. The successful cooperation between humans and resonants challenges our most basic assumptions about technological advancement and species compatibility. A holographic display activated in the chamber center, showing the quantum-enhanced ships of the new joint human-resonant fleet. The vessels were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, physical structures interpenetrated with conscious energy, creating ships that were both machine and living being. These developments, Zalura continued, represent more than just technological innovation. They demonstrate that true advancement often comes from unexpected sources, and that wisdom can take many forms. The Council acknowledges its error in dismissing the resonance, and in underestimating humanity's potential for insight. The Kroniki representative, still humbled by their encounter with the rescue fleet, spoke next. We too must acknowledge our mistakes. Our belief in the superiority of physical form blinded us to the possibilities of energy-based consciousness. The resonance display of power, tempered by mercy, taught us that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to understand. Commander Martinez, now promoted to Fleet Admiral for his role in the rescue, stepped forward. The success of this mission proves something humanity has long believed, that the greatest achievements come not from competition, but from cooperation. Not from domination, but from understanding. Every species in this galaxy has something unique to offer, if we're only willing to look past our preconceptions to see it. First Harmony's form expanded to fill the chamber with patterns of indescribable beauty. For millions of years, we resonance studied the deepest patterns of reality, believing ourselves alone in our appreciation of consciousness's higher forms. Humanity taught us that true wisdom often comes from those who see with fresh eyes, who approach problems with both innovation and compassion. The station's quantum sensors recorded a surge of activity in the filament. The resonance were beginning their first major project since the relocation. Streams of conscious energy wove through space, creating patterns that somehow affected the fundamental structure of reality itself. What are they doing? One of the council members asked, watching in fascination. Sarah's eyes widened as she interpreted the sensor readings. They're creating a quantum communication network, using their consciousness patterns as the transmission medium. Once completed, it will allow near-instantaneous communication across the galaxy, accessible to all species. First Harmony's form pulsed with satisfaction. This is our gift to the galaxy, proof that even those you dismiss as primitive may hold the keys to possibilities you never imagined. And it is only the beginning. Already, our scholars work with human scientists to explore new frontiers of physics and consciousness. The impact of these events rippled through galactic society. The success of human-resonant cooperation sparked a renaissance of interspecies collaboration. Old hierarchies based on technological advancement began to crumble as species discovered the value in different paths of development. Unity Station became a symbol of this new age, its halls filled with beings of all forms seeking to learn from each other. Physical and energy-based species found ways to communicate and cooperate, each bringing their unique perspectives to the challenges facing the galaxy. Sarah stood with First Harmony, watching a group of young human scientists working alongside resonant consciousness patterns in one of the station's research labs. Did you ever imagine, when you sent that first distress signal, that it would lead to all this? We hoped for salvation. First Harmony responded, its patterns reflecting thoughtfulness. Instead, we found partnership. Your people didn't just save our species, Dr. Chen. You helped us grow beyond what we were, just as we helped you see beyond the limitations of physical form. Outside the station's quantum-enhanced windows, the filament continued its eternal dance, now host to both ancient wisdom and new possibilities. Human ships came and went, carrying scholars and explorers eager to learn from the resonance. And in the great chamber of the Galactic Council, a new understanding slowly took root. That civilization's true measure lies not in the form it takes or the technology it wields, but in its capacity to recognize and celebrate the infinite diversity of conscious life. The signal that had started as a desperate plea for help had become a beacon of hope, guiding the galaxy toward a future where different forms of existence could meet in harmony, each contributing their unique notes to the grand symphony of consciousness. In saving the resonance, humanity had helped chart a new course for galactic civilization, one based not on power or prejudice, but on the simple truth that understanding and compassion are the greatest technologies of all.